All right, introducing the depth design project. This project is going to use continuous lines, and the continuous lines are next to one another and they create high and low areas to make this flat paper look like it's not flat. This is done with round shapes. This design is done with geometric shapes, and it creates angles and flat planes and angled planes. This design is called the contour, and you can use any kind of shape. Draw your shape in lightly with pencil, and then you start on one side of the paper, and whenever you get to your sketch of your design, you make the line curve. And that creates a illusion or image of something round being on a flat surface. One of the other design ideas, I think this is strong vertical and horizontal lines, and I think if you look at it too long, the horizontal lines seem to vibrate or blur. You may not get that, but still it's a line design, and it shows high and low areas. This is a high and a low area right there. Now our directions for this project are the depth design project. There are many ways to show depth. We have used value and overlapping. Now we will use repeated lines. So you can continue reading this on your own. Page 2 continues about part 1 and part 2 of the design. You can push pause so that you can read all the directions and instructions. The directions inside talk about using a pencil to lightly sketch in the shapes that you're going to use, and then two different design ideas, the spiral and the continue off and on. So let me demonstrate how those work. I've lightly sketched in these 5 shapes in pencil. You must have a minimum of 5 shapes. This rectangle just represents the edges of the paper because it would be so boring watching me draw the whole thing. So now that I've done it with pencil, now I'm going to use my ink pen and I'm going to follow those lines. I want to be a little bit closer than what I'm showing, but I want to also hurry up. And you want to change directions at the same place each time. And what's eventually going to happen is I'm going to hit the top of the paper. And then I have 2 choices on how to fill in the rest of my design. I can use the spiral, or I can use the continuous on and off of the page. Okay, I think this last one is going to end it for me. So I can make this last run across the top of the paper, changing directions and coming back across. So now I have to pick. I'm going to work in this little corner right here, and what I'm going to do is I could do the on and off, and that's what I think I'll do. So I'm going to start on the page, and it goes off the page. Then I'm going to come back to the page where it would start again if it was a continuous line, and go off the page. And this is called continuous, on and off. This is design idea 2. And you can see right through here you have that strong corner that builds up. Now in this area, because it's getting so close to the top, I'm going to use continuous. So I'm going to come in on the page, I'm going to go down, I'm going to go around and up and then over and then down, and I'm going to spiral in to the center. This is called the spiral. Now over here I'm going to demonstrate spiral again. I'm going to come in off of the paper, follow my design. Instead of going off the paper, I'm going to follow my design and spiral into the center. Sometimes this design will create those same lines, but also create an area that looks like depth. So those are the two things that you can do to create your depth. Our third design is the contour. Again, this is drawn with pencil. I started the left side of the paper, the right side of the paper, doesn't matter, with a straight line across the paper with my ink pen. As soon as I get to the object, I'm going to curve the line. And when I leave the object, I'm going to straighten the line. Just like the design with the hand, every time I get to the item, I'm going to curve the line. I'm going to follow that line as it curves across and then continue straight when I leave the item. So trying to be precise and take my time. This is not drawn with a ruler. And you draw each individual line. You're trying to keep these spaces the same space as you're building it up all the way across your design. You use an ink pen because a pencil, the tip will wear down and round out and your line will become thicker. If you use a colored pencil, the same thing happens. An ink pen has the same consistency of the line size all the way across. It doesn't wear out. That's why this project is done with ink pen. After you're done with your ink pen, you can come in and erase all these pencil lines. They'll never see them. They might not see them in your design, but when the ink is dry, you can always go in to erase it. So to recap, spiral is a way to finish these out when you close off. This would be an area where it's a spiral. This is an area where it's a spiral. Over here, the next one is the continuous off and on. And this is an area where I kept coming off and on the paper and continuing these lines. It's important to continue this line so that these angles make the flat zone and make the curve zone. In our directions, part 1, 5 obstacles. In part 2 is the contour. This is what the contour looks like again when it's finished. This area here is a spiral. This area here is a spiral. And they did individual lines. When you attempt to do this style, you really have got just horizontal and vertical lines to do. So on your paper, again, you're going to find some spaces, some squares or some diamonds, and draw those in lightly on your page. And anytime you hit one of these designs, no, we're supposed to draw those designs with a pen. Anytime you hit one of these designs, you have to change your direction. That's going to give us a diamond. We come in through here, we hit the design, go up, and we go over. Every time we hit the design, we change directions. Every time you hit that, it's got to be penciled in. And then everything else, you have some different shapes on here, and then you'll end up with a design that's like this. Make sure you continue to work on this project all the way through the times that you spend in class. There's no done. You move right from one type of design to another type of design. Some students in the class will be doing this fast. They won't have close, concise patterns on their lines. There'll be different thickness and widths, and we're looking for good consistency on lines. We're looking for these flat and curved areas to appear. Have fun. Mr. Rumler's art class.